I've seen the future.
Hey everybody, it's Colette Baron-Reid. Welcome to the Universal Energy Forecast, the Oracle card forecast for this week, November 21st. It's coming up to American Thanksgiving. I don't know if there's other holidays all over the place, but I know the Americans make a big deal about Thanksgiving. So happy holidays to everyone. Make them happy is what I have to say. So here's the deal. We are still using the Wisdom of the Oracle deck that I started again using last week because I think it's got a much more in-depth booklet, and I'm going to read from the booklet since everybody seemed to like that. So let's just get right into it. Remember, this is a prescription, less of a prediction. So we already know the energy that we feel in advance that's coming up, or perhaps we are going to be surprised by it. So these cards are specifically used to help you or prescribe to you a manner in which to use the energy for the highest good. That's what we're looking at here. Not like, oh, here's what's going to happen. It's like, here's how to handle what's going to happen. So we got protection cards for this week, so we know that we're still a little stirred up. Not a little, let's just call it a spade, lots. So the first card is flexible, and it's in the protection position. I'm going to read it to you and then tell you a little bit more about it. So it says, when you or someone else become too rigid, you lose perspective, the access to growth, and untapped potential, and find yourself in an us versus them scenario. Now we know that's been going on for a while, but that's, again, it hasn't obviously hit its peak yet, but that is an issue. And it suggests to open your mind and heart and see if a more flexible approach feels better, even a retreat temporarily, right, to regroup. And rigidity will set you up for a fight where there are only losers and no winners. Could you find a way to bring about a result that's mutually beneficial? Meet in the middle. Spirit makes a great mediator. So I've been really focusing on bridge building and no bashing. Even though you think you're right, the other person thinks they're right, or a side versus a side. And we know that on an individual level, every one of us is affected by a cultural story. So the archetypes that all of us are working through, and archetypes means symbolic experiences, even when you see someone act a certain way, they're really a symbol. And not to take this world personally so much, but look at a symbol. For example, what does a symbol of hate look like? What does a symbol of progression or freedom look like? So we know that we're seeing these iconic things everywhere right now through people. It's all happening through people, and the conditions that were, remember again, I said the current conditions were set in motion by the past. They were not set in motion by the now. So we're dealing with a fallout of a kind of a domino effect that began a long time ago. And so our job right now, instead of reacting strongly in a resistant way that is not well thought out, for example, is to step back and say, okay, how can I build this bridge, and where can we meet at a place that is beneficial for everyone? And I'm going to repeat every week that abuse and hate and any kind of act of violence towards anyone is never okay, and it is not to be tolerated. And bullying, you just, bottom line is, feel free, keep on, like I always say, if you don't like my stuff, get off my page. Same thing with you. If you feel that there's bullying going on, just get out of it. And then if you see somebody being bullied in real life, stick up for them. So there's this time right now where if we're really going to admit that we're all connected, we have to also admit that we own that shadow too, that's part of us. And how can we bring activity, like be a spiritual activist, bring love fiercely into the mode, but without that kind of violence that comes from this reaction of feeling that you're going to be left out, you're not going to get what you need, and that it's okay to be unkind to others. So now the next one is time for a nap in reverse position 2 and 24. So when we look at time for a nap, it means that we're not napping right now at all. And and the other thing is to keep really close to what you love. It says you're a human being, not a human doing. Is it possible that you're suffering from the ism of doing too much? Could you be the one who thinks it's your job to save everyone? And this is really going out, I think, to light workers. Maybe you're the only ones watching this. You think that you have to go until you barely see straight and you can't think straight. You have nothing to give to others. So it says here too that there are times when you have to realize you've gone as far as you can. You've worked hard, nourished people, projects, but now you're an empty well and have no reserves for others or for yourself. But don't let your ego keep you going full speed when your body and spirit need rest. Exhaustion is calling you to stop what you're doing and take a break. Doesn't mean that you're failed or that you're being too passive. It means that you need to regroup and you need to replenish. If you don't, the appearance of this card could portend a possible illness that stems from being totally overwhelmed. You will feel like a new person if you take that break, and do it now. Interesting that it talks about illness, and I really feel that there's a soul sickness that has been, it's kind of like a boil popped, and now we have to heal from that. So not for you is very interesting, because that's the next card, and I'll just quickly, again, I'm teaching you how to use these cards because I realized, you know what, maybe you guys don't realize that what I'm saying in these readings, you can actually learn from the book. It's one of the reasons I've started my Oracle School that's coming out in 2017 to teach you guys how to use this and get really clear information when you feel really uncertain and lost. So it says here, a clear knowing that something is being denied you, and rejection is God's protection. So I want to talk about that, because what I talk about in my book Uncharted, where I really got this downloaded, it was a spiritual download, was all about how we get attached to the form we think is the right form. We think that the outcome of our choice is going to end in a very specific way. And therefore, when we don't get what we want, we think that something bad is going to happen as a result of that. Now, we don't understand the big picture because we're only looking at that small slice, or the idea that we think that we know what's best for us. So especially when there is turmoil and chaos and we feel like, well, that can't be good, but we don't know the big picture. We don't have access to that. What we do know is we can create our world a little smaller and be accountable and responsible for the small world that we have, the actions that we take, the way we think on a daily basis, how willing we are to help another person in need. And remember, compassion right now is the key word for spiritual activism. Compassionate prosperity. What do you do to help reduce the suffering of someone else? Is what you're doing hurting someone else? Now, there's a lot of people here who are hurting other people, but they're not aware, and whatever, I have to still act in accordance with the highest good, which is love is the answer. Self-protection, yes. Keeping yourself in a place not to act out of that fight flight, because that's just about survival. How do we stay connected in spite of the differences? That's really key right now. Now, mending is in the protection position too. So mending is the forgiveness card. And forgiveness is such a huge thing because it's so hard to forgive when somebody is taking away something that you believe should not be taken away. And that, in fact, you're feeling like you are projecting some horrible doom into the future that we don't know can't be reversed. We have no clue. Yes, we know there's certain things happening right now that we may be powerless over to change, but we are not powerless to change ourselves and our inner world and how we deal with other people. So forgiveness, making amends, healing after arguments. So in the protection position, it says, and this is really key, heartbreak is a strange healer of souls. Our grief strips away our masks and loosens our tight hold on our separateness, where we view ourselves as I and the world as it. Loss allows us to see ourselves as part of a larger scheme, opening us up to sympathy, empathy, and dependence on others in the moment when we can't hold ourselves together. And it leads us to become one with the greater whole again. Pain and suffering is part of life, and none of us will be immune to it. Can you view this loss, this pain, this dissonance as a way back to source? Let your sorrow break your heart wide open. You will never be left behind. You are loved now more than ever by Spirit, who does not want you to feel alone. One day you will look back and know this truth. This is what this is saying. We don't know, but what we do know is that this needs to bring us back to God. This needs the God of your understanding, okay? So whatever religions that you are, that's your connection. Source is available to all humanity. to all animals, to all of life, to nature. This is where we need to go now. What is in the highest good? And our first order of business is, how do I stay connected to my higher power? Again, it's one of the reasons I'm so passionate about oracle cards, is because this is a way for us to connect to our highest self, our highest good, our connection to source. And take out all your superstitions about this, because so far, if you have been here through my readings, you know that there is truth in these things. And so that's why I'm so passionate. What can I tell you? It's why I'm creating an oracle school. Anyway, bless you all. Stay close to your loved ones and try to love someone you don't want to love. Love you. Bye. If you like this video, share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel and leave a comment and stay close and stay in community and be part of my tribe.
I've seen the future. It's beautiful. I've seen the future. I